No, Mr. President tonight.
Hey, what's good, good people? It's Jake Last Movement with another Wednesday segment of the Pulse. We have a lot going on tonight. Tonight we will not be, unfortunately, we will not be with Mr. President. He is out, but will be with us at another time, another appointed time. But yeah, we've got a lot to get through tonight, gents. There's going to be some reading that I do, but before I'm able to get there, let's check in and see how everybody's doing. Starting with Steph and Lynn.
All good.
Well, it's Lynn tonight, huh?
Well, yeah. For now, Steph is taking care of something else on the phone. He may join us.
Okay.
Just rampant.
Wait, say that one more time. You cut out a little bit.
Life insurance awareness.
Yes. I thought that was September.
It is. We're getting ramped up for it.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, oh no, I missed something. I wasn't trying to miss that.
September 1st, but we got to get the day.
Gotcha. Your the mic that you use make you go in and out a little bit. So yeah. But we'll get it all figured out. I'm gonna see what I can do to help that. Wig.
What's up, Big Glass?
How are you, man? How are you?
Hey, like I always say, you have to thank God for what you got going on, and thank God for your problems, because it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, that's true. Oh no, that was for you, Lynn.
What?
The comment says, finally a proper American cowboy from Dallas. Oh no. Oh no, I was hoping you would deny that.
What?
You did not.
Look, 49 years and counting.
Man.
49 years.
All right.
I dare you to bring somebody on the program with more years with any team.
I don't think I'd be able to.
There you go. 49 consecutive years.
All right. Die hard is what they call them.
That's correct.
That is correct. All right. Rick, who is your squad?
Steelers, baby.
Oh no.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. We gonna take a step back. We held on to Ben Roethlisberger too long, so we're gonna take a step back. We trying to find us another quarterback. Tomlin is gone. Tomlin was a good coach. We only had 3 coaches with the Steelers: Chuck Noll, I forget the other guy, and Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin was such a good coach that he took mediocre people and made them better. That's why we always finished in the middle of the road.
I can agree with that.
So because we should have. I don't agree with tanking, but we should have went ahead and took some L's. Like when COVID, we did very good during COVID in the beginning, but then when people started getting their act together, that's why we went out in the first round of the playoffs. So we're gonna get it together. I don't agree with our coach that we hired. That the one we just hired. That just makes no sense to me. If you're gonna start over, start over. So that's what I think.
Wait, you wouldn't hire a Super Bowl winning quarterback? Coach to coach your team?
No, not him. I'd rather go young. I'd rather go younger. I'd rather go young. I'd rather go Mike Tomlin or something like that. Because this guy, I don't understand how these people keep getting these jobs and they did terrible at the other jobs.
Because he has a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know how many active coaches have a Super Bowl ring? It's
not
single
many.
digits. It's single digits.
but it is different when you have the team. We know we don't have the team to get there now. So if you're gonna start over, start over. It's kind of like the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, when they hired this coach, he came in and he gutted the team. Basically, he said that if I'm gonna be a coach, I'm gonna bake the cake. That's why Miami has like 150 million in dead money that they still got to pay out. So
Mm,
that's what I think. He came in, he got rid of Tariq Hill and all those other veterans that they gave these giant contracts to that wasn't performing. So that's what I think. I just think we should have got a younger coach, somebody that's willing to take certain chances, and I think we'd have did better. So I don't think we're gonna do good for the next 2 years, but making the playoffs has hurt us because we're picking in the middle of the pack or at the end of the pack. That's what I think. But I'm a Steelers fan since I was about what 5 6 years old. The only reason I got to watch football because my aunt made me stay up.
damn.
Yeah, so I'm with my man, the Dallas Cowboy fan over there. I'm sorry you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's okay though. We all
No,
make
look,
mistakes.
I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
But
And
yeah, my son,
guess what we talking about?
not the Super Bowl. 'Cause y'all talk about that every
Of
year.
course we are. Of course
Y'all
we
talk
are,
about
because that's what fans do.
Yeah.
hey,
Okay.
That's
but
what
Okay.
fans do.
some fans live in reality though.
That's what fans do. Because anybody, look, who had Seattle winning it all last year?
No.
Nobody.
Nobody. Nobody.
Nobody.
No. They're
Except
fans.
Seahawk fans.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. But I definitely didn't have them winning it all.
No, nobody did.
No, I
Except
didn't.
Seahawk fans.
Yeah, I
That's
liked it.
hard to do, but
I
okay.
like last year. I like Houston. I thought Houston was going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
We
Uh,
gonna see. We gonna see in a couple weeks.
oh yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
yeah. Yeah. It's about that time. I am missing the banner. There we go. Now I feel better. That threw me off for a second. Certain things got to be in place, like I said. So yeah, let's hop into it. I also feel like it's dark back here for some reason.
Hey, Glass, what time it is? Where you at?
I'm on East Coast also.
Okay.
There we go. Let me get the light effects in behind me. But yeah, I'm East Coast as well.
Oh, Richard
So
said he's en route.
okay, well, we'll see how he feels, and maybe we have a surprise topic for the panel. We'll see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But I'm sure you'll be able to get down with it. Because I was gonna save it for next week. But we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, we'll see. I don't want to talk it up too much. I will hold on to it for a second. I'll hold on to it for a second. But speaking of holding on to things for a second, we have an aircraft carrier that has been perusing out near Iran since at least January. Left out of San Diego in November of last year, those sailors, and has continued in the area of conflict at this point. And what you have happening, hey Wig, are you right shoulder are you a right shoulder wearer, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So for anybody who don't know what I mean when I say right shoulder, that means you've been to theater, right? You've been in a war zone. You've been to some type of front, either Afghanistan, Iraq, or anything during that line. Lynn, have you been underway on a deployment?
Not for a war, but yeah, I've been out to sea.
Okay,
I've been in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, that counts also, right? That's kind of like y'all's deployment, right?
Yeah.
The Navy's, yeah, because my sister, she had done a couple, and then they were trying to push her out with the Army, and she ain't like that. But that was some years ago. We live different on these, around these here parts. But on a deployment, because I'm also a combat vet. When you are in a forward theater situation, so I was in Iraq. I was at primarily at Cobb Spiker, near Tikrit, Iraq, and I did a bunch of convoys, hunting down a bunch of stuff, whatever the case may be. Right, I did my time in country, and I tell you what, I had the ability, the space to actually walk around. I had the ability to go to different areas of Iraq, fly. Right now, I missed out on what was called Freedom Rest. I wasn't able to do that because there was a logistical nightmare that I had to take care of. But I was able to move around fairly freely, and even with that freedom of movement, the limited freedom of movement I had, because I was still thousands of miles away from home, I still felt constrained. Right, there was still a notion and an understanding that I can't just leave this country whenever I want. And if I'm saying this because I know if I felt that way while in a country where I could go to midnight chow, I could walk around contingency operating base, which is actually relatively large. If I felt constricted in that area, how much more do these sailors feel restricted being at 250, 260 plus days aboard this ship at the order of POTUS? And I'll leave it there for the intro to this. I'd like to see the question that I have for the panel. The first question that I have for the panel is, what does this look like to you? Give this some texture, or I want to hear what y'all's opinions are as this is concerning for not just the sailors but the families as well, which will, I'll swing back around to the effects of the family in a bit. So I'll start with you, Lynn.
Oh man, it's tough. A couple reasons. Which story is true? That's it's you're hearing from some sailors, and also it's an aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah.
So you know how many people are on there?
Tons. Yeah.
It's like a small city.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're running, they got to be running low on stuff, but they're talking about sailors sabotaging the bathrooms to try to create a situation where they leave. I mean, morale must really be down, for that to happen. And it's unfortunate to try to come to a conclusion on how to feel when you don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
And then the information that you're getting has an agenda attached to it. And it's just tough. It's tough to read. It's tough to see, because these complaints started. They didn't just start this month. They've been going for a while, and a normal deployment on a ship that large is 6 months anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you're over what, by 2 months, maybe 3?
3.
And I don't know where I would be, but I don't believe I would be complaining. I'm just not, because this is the job you signed up for. You're not dating the military, you are married. And when you're married, it's for better or for worse. And right now it sounds like it's on the worst side, but you know, you've been in worse situations. They ain't got to worry about walking past a hallway and it blowing up on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
They don't have to worry about explosive devices in their little floating city. But it's tough, and when it's tough, you got to man up, and they probably have women. They may have women on that carrier warming up too. You know, it's unfortunate about the food part.
Yeah.
Because that really, with food, you got something to look forward to. You know.
Yeah.
If the food is on point, you got 3 good things to look forward to every single day. But when the food is trash, that's when things get rough.
Yeah, and that's where they are. The food is absolutely horrible. Yeah, so units generally have at least 3 real-time missions, and this is just for the Army side. So in the Army, for the reserves, they have 3 missions that happen whenever the reservists show up that are live missions. That's pay. What was it? Pay. I can't remember the second one, but the last one is food. Food is a real-time mission for military members, and that can make or break an actual command. Unfortunately, something as small as food, especially when it comes down to being in the rough and tumble and having to wait things out for an extended amount of time. Like you were saying, if you have surf and turf and you know you're gonna have it on Thursdays, well, you're looking forward to that Thursday.
Yep.
You're looking forward to that next Thursday to get you over.
I don't know what they said. Maybe they said this in the Army, but I remember in the Navy we would say this all the time. That we loved it because every meal was a feast and every paycheck was a fortune. And that's just how we got down. You know, that was the mindset. Nobody complained about the food and nobody complained about the money. And we were just focused on getting the job done.
Okay. Let me pivot that down to first off, let me go back and say I need to eat my words because it looks like the president has powered through and joined us. So we want to welcome you as always. Hopefully you'll be with us for a little bit at the very least. And if not, I understand. Absolutely understand. So Wig, where are you at with this extended deployment for the naval personnel?
You know, on my I went over to Iraq twice. On my first deployment, that was the initial invasion. Second time was when I left Germany and went to Fort Polk, and they were already in theater, and I had to go over there because they got extended an extra like 3 or 4 months because they were doing another build up. Were people upset? Yeah. Did they? I'm pretty sure they said something to their spouses. But the little time I was in Rear D before I got on the plane and go back over there, mind you, I was only in country back home. I was only here like 3 months, and I was right back on the tarmac going again. And yeah, the wife was upset, and then their spouses and stuff was upset. People were upset, but like you said, I mean, depending on the food and where you are, then that makes a difference. But I think during this time, I agree with everything what my man said. But I think now we have a different military now. They have a different mindset. They don't think like we thought. You know what I'm saying? We came up with, suck it up, drive on, this the mission, it is what it is. But that's not what you have right now. They just are not there. You have different spouses in the rear. I think that it would be, you can accept it more if you were being told the truth. I know
Mm.
Right.
there's only I know there's only so much that you can tell people as far as the mission because you don't want to give the mission away. But the fact that they're not being told the truth, the fact that back home here you don't see any videos or anything of our bases that were damaged over there. It's almost like we didn't have any damage, but we on this call know that there was damage over there. So I feel like they're taking a page out of Israel's book and saying, okay, if they don't see it, they won't believe it.
Mm.
So I think that the fact that we as civilians back here can't even get the truth, and they can't get the truth, and these soldiers and sailors and stuff like that, they're over there questioning. Then what are we here for? And what is the end game? When we went to Iraq and Afghanistan, we knew what the end game was. They don't know what the end game is. So that's why I think the people are upset because when you get somebody that get on there and tell you that they're trying to downplay um, what the family members are saying, and you basically saying the soldiers sailors are lying. I don't know if it was sabotage or anything like that, but at the end of the day, you're questioning my integrity. We know
Mm.
you ain't gonna be, we know you're not gonna be over there. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Glass. When we was on the ground, we had boots on the ground, so it's a little different for us. You know what I'm saying? And then we had like little shopettes that they had brought over there that you can go to.
Yeah.
But but
Popeyes. The weird
exactly,
tasting Popeyes and the weird tasting McDonald's.
exactly. But over there, once the resources are gone, the resources are gone. And how long does it take to get them restocked?
Yeah, because they are having issues, logistical issues with refuel resupply.
Right.
Yep.
And they can't port anywhere because
Right.
don't nobody want to support the United States. And they don't want to have that black eye of you support the United States because once this whole thing is over, there's gonna be some people gonna have to pay. For I'm not just talking about the United States, I'm talking about people that helped the United States.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? We're not the most loved country around the world anymore. I mean, we already didn't people didn't like us, but this makes it worse. I.e., when Trump asked South Korea to help him out, and South Korea said no, we'll sit this one out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that the sailors don't have any shouldn't be saying anything about what's going on, but we're dealing with a different mentality of servicemen than we were back in let's say 90 from 1990 to I would say till because I know when I was a recruiter when I was recruiting in Fort Lauderdale and I got a chance to recruit people and I got a chance to see some of those people that I recruited in the army. And when you're
That's
a recruiter, it is scary. And when you're a recruiter, you know who's going to be able to stay and who's going to make it, who's not going to make it when you recruit them. But it was about numbers. So I don't blame the sailors. I just think their mentality is different. And when you have somebody like Hexel that can't tell you the truth, even if you wrote it on paper for him, that just makes it different. You can't continue to just tell people things and then they go along with it. You know what I'm saying? It might be different if they was able to restock and talk to home and stuff like that. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that they want these people to sign an NDA
really.
before they get off the ship.
But that's not a good look.
Right, because if there's nothing wrong, then why you want me to sign an NDA first and foremost? Second off, they know that these soldiers done recorded all kind of stuff on their phones prior to them getting back.
Mm.
Social media is going to be crazy when these people get back and start uploading stuff on what's going. And even if they don't upload it themselves, which they might not do, you can give it to a family member, and the family member will upload it. So
Wow.
that's what I think about it. I just think that the fact that you can't get the truth, you can't say, okay, this is why we're over here. You say we're over here for this, and you say we're over here for this. And I went through that, Glass. I mean, when I was on my first on the initial invasion for Iraq, first they said it was going to liberate the people.
Of
Then all of a
course.
sudden, then they said we're going over for mass weapons, all right? And then we was done. I was in a unit from Germany. I ain't gonna say the unit. I was in a unit from Germany, and our motto was grid smashers. So well, after our mission was done, we was ready to leave. But our colonel went to a meeting in one of Saddam palaces, and he wanted to stay because he wanted to meet dignitaries because our colonel went to the first Gulf War as a lieutenant. he went to this one with us as a lieutenant colonel, and he went back. In his whole career, he spent at the Pentagon. So what we did at the end, we was emptying weapon caches.
Ah, okay.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
we had some of the most unstable white phosphorus. And you know when white phosphorus start going, there's no putting that out.
There's nothing to do that you can do to stop it. It's
So we
got to go.
lost. Right,
Yeah.
we lost at least on convoys that I went on. We lost at least 5 humans
Wow.
because it was just unstable. You know, you almost didn't want to pick this stuff up.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. I just think we're dealing with a different mentality of sailor or service member today, and they're not going to let you just tell them anything. You're not going to just be able to tell them anything. I mean, I agree with what he's saying. You know what you were signing up for when you signed up, but at the same time, these people don't have our mentality like that. That's what I think, Big Glass.
Okay. So I'm gonna push this to Richard real quick. Let me read this question by Paula J. Glass. Was Army right? Yes, I was. They're the guys support the Marine supply. Them I like to hear from an Army man that know everything about getting the fighting men supplies. I don't know everything about it. I don't know everything about it. I didn't just support Marines. So my unit, when I was in Iraq, I supported. Uh, my mission ended up changing a little bit, but I was in a transportation unit and we started the drawdown for Iraq. And so we supported Air Force. We supported everybody, right? It was a coalition of forces, and so we supported everybody, especially when it came to transporting equipment from point A to point B. Um, and I'll pick back up on that in a second. Let me get Rich in here on this. Rich, where you at? Were you able to hear the question?
Yes. So I'll be very brief until I can log onto my laptop. President Trump, you were quick to pardon the peaceful protesters on January 6th. You gave them the utmost respect, and then you doubled down on your respect by trying to make sure that you had 1.5 billion in the slush fund to pay them for what they went through when they went to prison. So if you can do that for the peaceful protesters, then I don't understand why you won't give that ultimate respect to those men and women who are willing to die for the country to spread democracy. So there's some type of hypocrisy here, and I'll stop here.
Okay, and so I understand why you would come from that angle, but I would also add that this isn't necessarily about spreading democracy at this point, right? The campaigns that we are used to, and even the campaigns that we heard from yesteryear, that was the platforming, right? That was the propaganda engine that we purchased, was spreading democracy and doing the right thing because we were protecting the little person. This has nothing to do with that, unfortunately. This is and I agree with you. This is the ego and the lack of respect for the service member from this president, who has actually expressed his disdain for service members in the past, is on display. As a matter of fact, he actually said he wished they'd be there longer. He wants them to be there longer. And I also want to point out that it's not just the USS Lincoln that has been out on this deployment for 250, 260 plus days at this point, because it also has with it a barrage of smaller battleships that are trying to support and maintain it. And so the continuation to that is something that Lynn kind of pointed out, right? How do we know where we're getting the truth from? I will err on the side of the service member 95% of the time, and then I'll give probably another 2.5% to the family members who are telling the story. And that's because I know that there's some form of embellishment. And then the rest, I will believe it to be lies, because that's going to be made up by the leadership who don't want to have that stain on them. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Wig, when you say this drunk ass joker who is a farce of a Secretary of Defense, also known as Pete Hegseth, will lie faster than you can ask to have the truth. Before you finish the question, he's already spinning his lie. And I also agree with the panel, the majority of the panel, when we say that they knew what they signed up for this. I'm not going to say they knew what they signed up for, because I didn't get my first deployment to Ford Theater until I think 13, 14 years after I had been in. Right now, by that period of time, I had been mobilized to Fort Riley, and I had done a bunch of different things, but I didn't actually get sent to a theater until like 13 or 14 years within my actual career. And once I got to theater, I remember this, and I said it on my last recording, by the way. It's almost been a year. I'm almost at an 1-year anniversary for my retirement from the Army. But I remember saying this walking across Iraq into Crit, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Joshua Montalvo, and I had to pause and stop for a second because the realization of me being Iraq, it just sat on me. And it came out of nowhere. And I said, damn, Josh, we are in Iraq. And he looked and he said, I know. I said, no, like, we are here in Iraq. We are in a wartime situation. And he said, yeah, I know. And you don't really actually understand the gravity of the contract that you're signing until, and I'm not saying that people who haven't had these, who haven't been in a war situation don't come to the same realization. What I'm simply saying is, when you are out actually performing the thing that you practice for, which is war, that thing hits like completely different than what you thought about when you were signing that contract. So those who continue to re-enlist after that experience, I have the utmost respect for, because now you're doing it after knowing what it can be and what it looks like.
Yep.
It's a totally different perspective at that point. So these sailors who, I was 17 and a half when my mother had to sign for me to join the military. All right. So you've got a gaggle of ages, a lot of them younger sailors who are having this experience. And by the time they come back to port, some of their contracts are going to be up. And they're not joining the ranks again, especially after listening to the Secretary of Defense. All right. So it's a hard thing for me to let me ask you all this. What are we looking, what does the lens of leadership look like right now for them? And I'll start that going the opposite way. I'll give you a second until you get back to the house there, Rich, but I'll start with you, Wig. Let me ask that. The lens of leadership, what does it look like right now?
You talking about lens of leadership in the military in total?
Yeah, I mean, like, so let's say that for that young platoon sergeant or squadron leader, or the one for the, because they're not staff sergeants technically, but the E6 that's in charge of comms for their group, or for the actual chief, the Navy chief right now, that's got to continue to motivate, corral, supervise, and provide leadership. What, you've been a leader in the Army. What would your position be? What does the lens of leadership look like right now?
I think that to me it's kind of foggy. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what you're going to have is kind of like what you alluded to a little earlier as far as contracts running out. I think the people that's that can retire are going to retire when they come back. You're going to have it's going to be a black hole of experience once they come back. You know what I'm saying? You don't mind people that's deployed before. I don't mind going if I know where I'm going.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But you can only lead so far if the resources ain't there. And at that point is, leadership is motivation. You're motivating that person to do what you want them to do, even when you don't have the tools to get them to do it. So that, to me, that's a good leader. And I just, you have that now, but I just think we're going to hit a big hole of inexperience and get promoted. And then to me, it's going to come out to be, well, some of the people that's joining now are joining because they do believe in what Heck Self says. So do I want that type of a leader to be in charge of my kids?
Mm.
So I think the leadership, they might have did what they could do out there. You know what I'm saying? But you can only lead so far, Glass. If it ain't there, it ain't there. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I would hope that none of the leaders did was, as we said in the military, or at least in the army, I cry up, I don't cry down.
Yep.
I'm not gonna go cry to an E2 and I'm an E7. You know what I'm saying? So that's the. I'm not. I think they probably had some great leaders on those boats, because that was a battle group that went over there along with the aircraft carrier. But like you said earlier, it was more than just the aircraft carrier. You had one destroyer that lost power for 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days.
So those people didn't have no toilets, couldn't cook no food or nothing like that. And then they when me and you was boots on ground in Iraq, we can go start a fire somewhere and cook something. They can't start no fire there. That's not good. So I think this leadership. I don't doubt the leadership that they have in there right now. I doubt the leadership after they come back. That's what I doubt. I doubt the leadership after they come back. That these next couple of years. These next couple of years is going to be very interesting, because I know for me personally, when I left the Internal Revenue Service, one day, Glass. I mean, guys, one day I had there was 5 people that retired. They averaged 30 years apiece.
Wow.
You just can't plug that hole up.
You cannot.
They average between 25 and 30 years apiece, and they all left them on one day. So that's the problem. I think there's leadership out there, to be honest with you. I think they're doing the best they can in the conditions that they're in, but it's what happens when they come back.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I think about it.
Yeah. I will flick that next door. Same question to you, Lynn. Lens of leadership. What is it looking like right now? How are these senior leaders that are actually aboard the ship? How does this look for them? Are you able to hear me, Lynn? I don't think Lynn can hear me right now.
Yeah, I hear you. So
okay.
Hopefully, he's probably having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, it happens sometimes when people pop in. StreamYard, when I hopped on, it didn't let me on automatically for some reason. It said that there was a lot of stuff being crossed up, and hopefully it levels itself out. So I'll push that down south to Mr. President.
You're asking
the lens of leadership right now for this whole USS Lincoln and the actual armada that's accompanying them.
I haven't lost faith in our military leaders. I think they're doing their job. They're following orders. They're following lawful orders. If they feel they can't follow those orders, then they'll need to retire. So, to me, there's I don't see anything wrong with our current military leadership.
Mr. President, if I can ask you a question, at what level are you talking about?
I'm talking about from the generals going down. So, the last time I checked, the generals serve at the pleasure of the president.
Fuck.
So if you're a 4-star general on the Joint Chiefs of Staff or any branch of the service, you answer to the president or to the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, he answers to the president. So they're just following lawful orders, hopefully. Hopefully.
That's interesting because I will take what you said and I will apply that to the leadership that's actually on the ship right now.
That's what I was
I,
talking about.
Yeah, because I haven't lost faith in them. I think that they are like I think Wig, that was you saying that they are shoring this up as much as possible, and that's a hopeless situation because unfortunately we already seen or we've heard our sailors who are having the mental breakdowns and aren't able to deal with this. We've heard of the report of somebody pushing to go overboard and all these other different things, right? But I know that the leadership that's on the ship right now, I have to have faith that they care about their sailors and not just the sailors, but the families as well to do because they have a fine line to walk right now, right? And this goes back to what you were actually saying also, Rich, serving at the wheel of the president because there is an admiral who's in charge of that who has his officers or her officers underneath them, but also having these real-time issues that are taking place with these sailors, and that's the thing. So I have faith that these leaders that are there in the water with these sailors, they do have a heart for their sailors and they have the best interest in mind, and they might end up retiring because they might not be of the mind of saying this. I served at the will of the president. I had senior leadership that did not do right, not just by me, but more importantly by the sailors, and they allowed us to stay out here for this long without any direction. And I think that's the hardest thing to actually rein in. If you send people somewhere, this is what I've learned when I was leading soldiers. If you sent your soldiers somewhere, you gave them purpose, you gave them guidance, you gave them the understanding of the how, when, where, as well as executions on what we're going to do, and then we're getting back, right? You give them those rough timelines and you stick to them as much as possible. But you give them that information. You give those soldiers that information so they're not feeling tricked. They're not feeling like you're just dangling them along. Right now, these sailors are out in the middle of an ocean with a failing ship with no purpose. What are we doing out here? What are we doing out here? And I think the leadership has to contend with that. And that's the hard part of it all. So, and that's not even talking about getting back. Let me shift a little bit and talk about how the sailors might interact with the families when they get back. Right? Soldiers, sailors, Marines, Air Force, we suffer from PTSD from this type of stuff. So now what are we looking at? What are we looking at with these families, with these service members who are going to be just thrown back and with a senior leadership that doesn't believe that doesn't, to me, and this is my personal opinion, Hegseth doesn't believe in taking care of service members. This VA system, they've shown that they are willing to try and cut us out as much as possible. So let me ask the panel that, because I'm trying to make sure I taper my emotions about the situation and ask what I think are relevant questions. How do we think the families are going to interact with the sailors, and how do we think the sailors are going to interact with being back home? I'll start with you on that, Rich.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
So you want to know how the sailors feel about being on that ship?
No, how are what do you anticipate happening when these sailors finally get back home?
I don't know, because some military people, they are going to back you up. Or some military people are gung ho about the country. Some military people are going to back President Trump regardless of what he says or does.
Mm.
Others may not.
I'm here, Glass. I
So
can't hear nobody though.
yeah, so the sailors, when they come back home from this situation, they may be like the country. Half believe in President Trump, and the other half don't believe in the leadership of President Trump. Maybe. It's hard to say.
Okay.
Oh,
Wig, are you able to hear me yet?
yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, Lynn, are you able to hear me? I think Lynn might be having some issues. Let me see if I can help him out on that. So going to you, Wig. Are you able to hear me now, Lynn? No, he's not able to hear me yet.
I can hear you, Glass.
Okay, so what do you anticipate the feel of the how are these sailors going to not just with their families but overall when they do get back?
It's gonna be rough because
I have not been
to
able
be
to
honest
hear
with you, it's gonna be a
anything
lot of
forever.
PTSD,
Can you guys hear me?
claustrophobia.
Yes.
You know,
This is crazy.
We hear you.
All I hear
it's
is
gonna be
the
rough
background
because,
music
yeah, some of the
that Jay
families was
Glass is
quite.
playing. That's it.
I ain't saying it's happening. Can you hear me, Glass?
Yeah, I got you.
I ain't saying it's happening, but I've seen where some of them came back and the relationships wasn't there,
Mm,
meaning that they had them moved on. When we came back from Fort Polk, man, I'm trying to tell you, had some couple of spouses had them move somebody else in on
Um,
base. So
I got
I
nothing.
just I think
Okay.
it's gonna be rough. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. Well, I know how to say it, but I think it's just gonna be rough. They're not coming back the same as they left. It's not. It's not. No, anybody that tell you that they are, you know what I'm saying? Like when the Southcom commander went on the ship and what did he say? He said it was only a few cases where they people were as far as like the mentor or whatever. I think he said something like that. That to me, that's him trying to play it down.
sure.
That's him trying to play it down. And then the crazier part about it is he's not going to go on that ship and disagree with Trump. Do you actually think? Did you have anybody actually think that the story is going to be different?
No.
You know, he didn't play it down as much as Trump and Hesse, but the story wasn't going to be different if he still wanted to keep his career. So if he said anything different on that boat, by the time he touched back down in the states, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, he would have been relieved.
Exactly. So I mean, let's just keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it go back to what you were saying earlier, man, about the leadership. As a leader, especially as an enlisted leader, it starts with you, and you just have to do your best to try and calm their little brains down, and tell them, hey, I'm in the same position as you. Let's do what we got to do to make the best of it. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be rough coming back, brother. It is. It's gonna be rough coming back. And now you sending another battle group over there to replace that one. So and they still got the ones on the Lincoln. They still got to make it home.
Yeah.
So look at they still riding home in the same condition. The only difference is you going somewhere you think you're going home. They might port somewhere before they get home or whatever to try and take some of the stress off before they get back to the states or whatever. But at the end of the day, there's gonna be some mental issues. The VA is gonna have a lot of PTSD claims. I promise you that one right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but again, I don't know how they're going to end up treating those service members who are going to have issues from
Right.
this,
Right,
right?
and it's just because it's just crazy because like I said, PTSD, claustrophobia. I don't like closed doors, or what I'm saying. But I think it would be so much different if they knew what the objective was. If you knew what you was there for and what you was doing, then it would be so much different. But that is not the case. So we're just basically sitting over here floating on this boat, and we don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's what I think, brother.
Okay. Rich, what you got?
I'm going to go back to common sense. If you ask somebody to die for you, feed them, give them the equipment that they need, and make sure they have clean restrooms.
Can you hear me, Glass?
Yeah.
Is Mr.
I'm,
President talking?
Yeah.
can you hear me, Mr.
I can't
Wade?
hear him though. Let me go out and come back in.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find another platform. StreamYard is failing me here.
Yeah, but I come on your platform, no problem. I don't. You say
I
I have
think.
an iPhone?
Well, no, because I think it's the software that we're using. It's software and hardware because we've got interfaces that are plugging directly in.
Oh,
It's not we're not Bluetoothing or using an actual phone, so
okay.
it could be that could be part of it also. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. So again, if someone is willing to die for you, make sure that they have food to eat, fresh food. They have a bathroom to use, particularly on a ship, and that they have all of the equipment they need to fight a war. In fact, to me, that's more important than having a clear direction about why we're here in Iran or in the waters of God,
Amuse.
Hormuz.
Straight.
Just make sure that people have food to eat and they have a restroom to use, and they gotta have equipment. They gotta have military munitions. You can't send people over there and then say, "Oh, we may run out of munitions."
Eesh.
That's not going to work. So what? Listen, you can't go out here in these streets of any inner city and say, "Hey, I want you to fight for me. I want you to join my Bloods or my Crips," and then tell them, "Oh, we ain't got no firearms." No, that ain't going too far. So you can use a lot of logic from the street life into the military life. When someone says they're going to die for you, you make sure you're always there for that person. You support that person's family. You got to make sure that person is fed, because hungry people ain't going to fight for you. In fact, they may turn against you. And on a ship, and I'm not Navy, but I can only imagine on the ship, between the food and the restrooms, if you can't use the restroom,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you don't have clean restrooms to use on a ship, I'm sorry, that's common sense. So you ask somebody to die for you, you got to give them a level of respect, or it's going to come back to haunt you. Even in the Middle East with the terrorist organizations, before those people die in the name of Allah, they're treated with a certain level of respect, and they're told their families will be taken care of.
Mm.
And they have, their firearms, their explosives. They can use the bathroom in peace. But when you got somebody on a ship for an extended amount of time, the food's not right, and the bathroom is not right. I don't. Maybe Lynn has some expert knowledge, or maybe Mr. Wig has some expert knowledge on how you can have an unclean restroom and still keep the morale. I'll let them tell me.
Yeah, I don't see that one, brother. And I know when we was out there, especially on the initial, we had to build ours from plywood. So thank God I was inside, so I didn't have to burn the floaters, But
Yeah. You on mute, Lynn. We couldn't hear what you said.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's tough to get through the day if you got nothing good to look forward to. Because going out there on the side of that ship, all you're going to see is water. From every side. No land, no lighthouse, just water. So, yeah, morale is important, and they have people there to take care of the bathrooms and the bright work and all that other stuff, but that's what gets into the stories that you really need more clarity on. Are people sabotaging the bathrooms?
Yeah.
Because without sabotage, those things work. You got people, boatswain's mate. boatswain's mates make sure that stuff is fully operational. They chip paint, they paint, they take care of the bathroom, they take care of the fixtures. That's their job. Those are the people that didn't go into a particular school for an expertise. That's what they do. And they do it with pride. And after they do that work, guess what they're looking forward to?
Eating
a hearty meal.
Yeah.
A hearty meal. And so those are the basics. Those are the essentials. And if stuff like this, if any of it is even partially true, I didn't get a chance to chime in on leadership because Richard knows that's my thing, but this is leadership 101.
I have to agree.
Look, you can't feed me. Look, they need to just, it looked like they need to just drop some MREs on that carrier or something, and guess what? When you out there in the jungle or the desert and you got an MRE in your backpack, guess what you're looking forward to?
Oh, let me take a knee.
Yeah.
Let me take a knee.
Let me bless this food. Let me bless this food right now. Because you know what? So much of life is about expectations.
Yeah.
And if some Wig's talking about the different generation and mindset of the military person, I get that. But when you go into boot camp, that expectation is set. That's what it's the adjustment. People who don't make it in there, it's a failure to adjust. So, when it translates to going out into the field, out into the theater, out into the ocean, people still have that same level of expectation because the bar is so low. The bar is not high.
No.
From that perspective in the military. The bar is, it's not rock bottom, but the bar's not that high.
I used to look forward when I was in the field. I remember we would be in the field long enough for me to look forward to taking a baby wipe shower when I got back to the rack. Just give me a clean baby wipe, a pack of clean baby wipes, and clean myself up. And I felt like I was in heaven.
You know what's funny about this? And I don't want to sound like a Democrat because I'm not a Democrat.
Thank you for the
but no, let me tell you something that a Democrat would say. And I'm not trying to make a point at Lynn. A Democrat would say, President Trump, you can put gold toilets in your casinos and in your house, but you don't give a damn about putting any type of working toilet on a ship for our soldiers or for our sailors. And they would be right. If what is being reported is true, that those toilets are not working, and the sailors can't say anything, in fact, they may not be able to even send messages to their family because the family would probably contact their congressmen or congresswomen or senators, and then it would go up the chain, and then President Trump would say, who made the phone call? Who's complaining? What's the problem? So at this point, we don't know who's telling us the truth and who's telling us a lie, but we do know this. Something's not right. Like a lot of things in the country, we know something's not right. We're not winning this war. It's not a war, conflict.
I was waiting for you to continue. I was coming back.
I'm not feeling good tonight, so it's easy to go upside my head tonight. But we're not winning this situation. And I made a comment weeks ago. For the ultimate white man, the greatest white man, allegedly, since Jesus Christ, allegedly, who was a white man as well, he's letting down white people. He's letting down the country. How can you make America great again and you can't even beat these Muslims? I'm serious.
No, yeah.
You talk about your belief in God, so you claim, but we know that your supporters, a lot of them are white nationalists. They do believe in a white God. I give them credit for that. But you can't even live up to the standard of being superior to these Muslims. They're beating you. You took on the wrong Muslim. They kicking your ass. But you had your audacity, J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, to talk down to another white man who was fighting to protect his country, President Vladimir Zelensky. You tried to belittle him. I remember that.
Oh,
You
they
tried
didn't
to
try.
feel small and insignificant. But the only two people who are really feeling small and insignificant regarding this war is President Trump and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. You guys I don't even know if you're white anymore. I mean, I have to question. I questioned your white supremacy from day one, but now I'm even appalled that you can't even keep 10% of your white supremacy going. You have let down white racist America. You're a disgrace. You really are.
Well, we'll see how they feel about him, about them in the next couple of months. But they didn't try to disrespect. They disrespected the hell out of Zelensky. And I remember Zelensky saying he made mention to feeling safe because of the ocean. But now we're in a position, and he warned about this, to where the ocean isn't separating us from danger. We can't hide behind the ocean. Actually, we've got our sailors who are on the ocean, and they're not in a good position. But I digress from that topic. This is still. Hopefully, they're heading back soon. We're being told that they are. We're being told that there's a replacement.
And a quick clarification. Polar Knights, I have to cut you off. I strongly agree with what you say that Jesus was a black man. I'm just trying to speak to white America who believe in President Trump and believe in his religion, his nationalism, his patriotism. I'm just reaching out to them to say, as a black man, I thought you were racially superior, but I can't tell. See, when you jump on me and drag me around and do whatever, who cares? But when I see a Muslim man from the Middle East, a Muslim man, a brown man who's originally black, when I see him talking shit to you and kicking your ass and telling you you're going to pay for this war and we are not going anywhere and we're not giving up our nuclear capability, what I see is a man that knows his value, and he's a Muslim, all praises to Allah. And he's telling you, man, President Trump and your Christian God, kick rocks. Stay the fuck out this business between me and my little brother. That's what he's saying.
And they're ramping it up. They're ramping it up, right? They're purposely ramping it up. I just want to throw that out there also. Iran's not letting up. They aren't letting up. They're not giving in. Yeah, they are taking this thing.
Hold on.
Further.
Wait a minute. You couldn't watch Vladimir Zelensky and those Ukrainians who are quote part of the Russian Empire. They said, you're not coming to our country and telling us what to do. You couldn't learn from that. Mm-hmm. So Putin, you couldn't overrun Ukraine with all your power because Ukraine's using those
drones
effectively.
They're droning the hell out of these
pennies
folks.
On the dollar. For pennies on the dollar. So President Trump, you couldn't understand that. So when you were talking to Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's like, hey man, come on, let's go over here and let's override Iran, kill them all. And you're like, oh, we don't have to kill everybody. We can just piecemeal it. You didn't learn from Russia and Ukraine. You didn't learn from Afghanistan when Russia tried to overrun Afghanistan. People forget that war.
Yeah, because Afghanistan roughed Russia up.
And run it.
Oh,
Russia
the one we helped Osama bin Laden with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is a lot of people forget. Russia come to run you They had a pretty good track record until they ran into Afghanistan. They lost that one. And that was a big shock for Russia when they lost that. I think
I don't.
oh,
Yeah, I don't want to pivot up too far off because then
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the sailors of the USS Lincoln and the armada that's along with them and the families that I want to make sure that. Let me say this also, and this is going to be a harsh truth. Some of y'all voted for this. Some of y'all voted for this, and I hate that it's happening and that it's shaping up like the way it is. But like I said, when the Democrats had the House shut down, sometimes you got to give the people what they want.
But you know what, Glass? It's crazy when you said they voted, they're getting what they voted for. One thing I've come to realize, and we get on here and we talk, and we make a lot. I think we make a lot of sense. I really appreciate us talking. But two things happened during when Trump was elected. Tax break, the rich didn't care about the racism because they got tax breaks. The poor people didn't care about the rich getting tax breaks because they got racism.
Mm,
And
Interesting.
that's where we stand at today. The rich get tax breaks. I'll deal with the racism as long as you give me my tax breaks. The poor, you can have your tax breaks as long as I get my racism. And that's where
Interesting.
we are. And that's where we are today.
yeah, that's that's a hell of a correlation. But speaking of racism, I I want to first off thank you, Lynn, for bringing this to my attention. And when I say this, I am talking about uh dang, I spelled that wrong. Carmelo, I was typing fast. Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony, the young man that was given 35 years for uh having a kerfuffle that ended up resulting in the loss of life of a young Metcalf in high school. Well, there's an article that I have. It's a little bit of a different article than what you sent me, Lynn, but it's an article all the same, and I want to share this with everybody so I can go through it fairly fast, and then we can discuss it. We can discuss it. I don't know how many people are actually tracking this, but I think it's worth being looked into. Give me one. All right, here it is. I'm glitching. All right, I glitched up a little bit, but I'm back now. I'm back now. So let me get ready to read this. I want to get the logo off my face. There we go. All right. So Carmelo Anthony scores huge legal win with the judge removed from that case. Now this one came out yesterday also. And it this I'll just get into it 'cause I read this not too long ago. The trial judge has been pulled from the case just weeks after handing down 35-year sentence. Carmelo Anthony, 19-year-old convicted of fatally stabbing fellow student athlete Austin Metcalf, has notched an early win in his fight to overturn his murder conviction. According to the Daily Mail, the judge who oversaw Anthony's trial has now been taken off the case entirely as the appeals process gets underway. The move came during a Wednesday hearing in Collin County, Texas, with a new judge set to take charge of the trial of a retrial request scheduled for Thursday. Anthony was found guilty in June of murdering 17-year-old Metcalf during a high school track meet at a football stadium in Frisco, Texas, back in April of last year. He was subsequently handed a 35-year prison sentence, but his legal team is now arguing the original trial was compromised. Why was the judge removed from the Carmelo Anthony case? Anthony's lawyers claimed that the switch was necessary partly because the original judge, John Roach, imposed unusually strict rules inside the courtroom during the proceedings. They also pointed to comments Roach made to local outlet WFAA after the trial concluded, in which he defended the jury's guilty verdict. Yes, they did, because they were picked based upon the law. They listened to the facts, Roach said, of the jury, according to WFAA. It happened in this courtroom, and they got a verdict. Roach reportedly went further, telling the outlet he found Anthony personable during their limited interactions in court, despite the conviction. He seems like a nice young man who committed a crime, but he understands today more than any day before the consequences of committing a crime like he did, he said. The judge also revealed the court staff had spent roughly 8 months preparing for the trial, anticipating the intense public attention the case would draw, and said he stood by how it was handled. As long as I follow the law, I sleep well at night, he added. So this is shaping up to end up being, give me 1 second, stop sharing this. This is shaping up to end up being, not saying that he's going to win it. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to misrepresent what's happening, right? What I am saying, however, is that he is going to get what seems to be a retrial and have some form of equitable outcome as to the events. Now, what they're going to adjudicate, I'm not sure of just yet. I don't know if they're going to go all the way back through the trial, or if there's just bits and pieces, or if they're just looking at it from the standpoint of a bit of a conflict, like they were saying, because of the judge's comments. Lynn, you got anything further on that?
Yeah, I'm interested to see, well, in my own mind, I'm still formulating what I think is a fair outcome. The part of me that says he did take another human life, and there is a price to pay for that. So how many years? Will yield. I think he's going to have a better judge. He's going to have a better jury. He's going to have better legal representation. So that's going to get him down to minimal time instead of maximum time. And then maybe even time served, probation, parole, who knows? But I think that the outcome from the first trial was unfair. Unfair from a procedural standpoint, unfair with the ridiculousness about excluding educators.
Yeah.
From the jury, where educators have a better understanding of school children than anybody else on this planet. So you're going to take the most qualified people and exclude them from the jury. And oh, by the way, those educators happen to be black people.
Women, weren't they? Black women?
I'm not even sure, but black women is even, that's even worse for them. The jury was not all white. I hate to hear when people say that. It just had no blacks on it. There's a difference. It wasn't 12. It wasn't 12 white angry men.
Right.
That did this. But with the new trial, a lot of people are going to be able to move forward in a different way. Because I'm sure after a trial like this, you say, man, if I had it to do all over, I would have done this. I would have said that. I think you're going to get new testimony. I think you're going to get new people to come forward. I think you're going to get people to recant some BS that they may have laid on the stand, that they can get an immunity from perjury kind of situation. You're not going to have the two lawyers who used to work together.
Yeah.
Work together as partners in a law firm. You're not going to have that dynamic. You're not going to have the dad.
Wait a minute.
Of Metcalf. What were you saying, Rich?
Explain that. You said the two partners.
Oh yeah, the two lawyers, defense and prosecutor, they work together.
Okay.
They work together in public office, and they went into private practice together. These guys have known each other for decades. And then they went mano a mano in a courtroom. But in that, Karmelo's attorney gave up too much, in my opinion. He conceded too much. He conceded not to bring up Metcalf's bullying history into the case. So, you have all this dynamic going on, and I'm sitting there saying, wow. And then the judge and the father, just too much relationship. None of these people should ever have been friends or friendly or whatever. I understand that when you try cases, you get the same judge and you build a reputation and a rapport, and I understand that. But how the Anthony family decided to go with an attorney, maybe they're thinking we should go with him because he knows this guy and knows how to beat him. But that would not have been I would have just found a better attorney.
So I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. So you think that the trial is going to be a bit fairer,
more fair, yes,
more fair, but you don't necessarily think that there should be a not guilty verdict settled at, because there was loss of life.
Right. I don't believe that he's not guilty. He is guilty of taking another human being's life. Okay. Listen, there are people in jail who hit somebody with the wrong 12 pounds, hit him in the jaw, they fell to the concrete, and they died.
Yeah.
And you're in a fist fight. And you're in jail. Because you hit someone and it resulted in their loss of life. And, you remember this case with the truck driver a few years ago where he was his truck was out of control going down a hill. I think it was in Colorado.
It sounds familiar.
He killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And they gave him 110 years. And everybody lost their mind. Oh my God, that's too much. That he's sorry, he's remorseful, he cried in court, blah, blah, blah. This guy gets a new trial. Or not a new trial, he got a new sentence. Guess what his new sentence was?
10 years.
10 years. Richard knows this case.
No, I don't.
But it was 10 years. It was 10 years. And what did everybody say?
Manslaughter.
That's not enough.
That's not enough. That's not enough. Right?
Well,
remember in football, Ray Rice gets he gets 2 games.
Yeah.
Right? Then the video comes. Now 2 games wasn't enough, right? Video comes out, banned for life. It wasn't enough punishment. Banning him from the league for life was too much, in my opinion. Yes, He deserved to be punished for what he did, but this is also a man who was, because originally they both got arrested because they were both drunk in public. But this woman spit on him in an elevator. And it always perplexes me when we get into impairment, right? Because decisions that people make when they're impaired are treated like the decision, they should have made had they not been impaired.
Yeah.
And they're not the same. And whenever I go down this road, people say, oh, you're sticking up for drunk drivers. I am not sticking up for drunk drivers. But I am able to make a case that somebody makes the decision to drive drunk when they're what?
Drunk.
When they're impaired. Now, if you got somebody on video who is sober saying, man, I'm going down to the pub tonight, I'm going to get rip-roaring drunk, and I'm going to drive my ass off, and whatever happens, happens. That person deserves to go to jail for life.
Sure.
But that's not how that plays out. And getting all the way back to Karmelo Anthony, you had a choice.
Okay.
You had a choice. And you made the wrong choice. And for making the wrong choice, you should pay a price. I don't believe that price is 35 years. But you should pay a price.
Well, wait a minute. Number one, of all the southern states, if you want to get your case retried and think you have a chance to win, I can only think of maybe Tennessee and Texas of all the Southern
I
states.
would not put Tennessee in that ball game, but I understand why you would say it.
Maybe Tennessee, but
Okay.
Texas, yeah. Now here's the second thing. When you talked about Lynn, talked about the people recanting some of the stories, and then people who were not called, who could be called subpoenaed. When they give the whole storyline on Mr. Metcalf and his brother and how they were raised, and then allegedly, somebody, I think it was a girl, was in the tent and said that Mr. Metcalf basically forced the issue to where Karmelo Anthony had to defend himself. That he did not want to pull the knife to defend himself, but he didn't have a choice because he felt his life was in imminent danger. Now, if we say, if this had been on the other foot, two black boys, jumping on a white boy, and the white boy pulled out a knife, the white boy would have never gone through this. So it's tough in our country because of our foundation that we can never look at things just for what they are because of the issue of race and how it has plagued this country from its very beginning. So race, no matter what people say, race will always, unfortunately, come up in the conversation, particularly in the judicial system. So
I want to go back to something that you touched on that at this point, depending on how this thing is retried, and then I'm gonna push to you, Wig. But depending on how this thing is retried, their father jumped out because he was a twin, right? So their father jumped out there and got real reckless at a certain point. He got real reckless with his words and his behavior at a certain point.
No, wait a minute.
And
Watermelon felon.
Watermelon felon.
But wait a minute. Allegedly, the behavior of a family member should not affect. Allegedly, the behavior of a family member should not affect the interaction between the two Metcalf boys, and Karmelo Anthony, unless you're saying the reason why they were harassing him was because of upbringing.
What I'm saying is his father's, and let me make this statement also, because I don't want to be negligent and leave this out, because when I looked at the footage of his father saying that what he was saying, I remember, I think I put it in our text. My take on it was, this is a man who was in pain and who's lashing out, right? After I watched the video, because I wasn't looking so much at his words, I was watching his body language and his behavior, and he seemed to be a man that was bruised, hurt, lost a son, and had a gag order, so he couldn't say much at a specific time. So at that time, I was like, man, this fella's hurt. He lost a kid, but it continued on, and that's when I was like, wait a minute, now it's not just a wounded person. This is somebody showing who he is. And if this is who he is, well, then what did he teach his sons? And so at this point, he jumped out there and got reckless. And I don't know if that's going to be admissible or if that's going to play a part in this retrial, this possible retrial. But I would like to think that it probably should. It probably should. It's just like you said, Lynn, watermelon felon, right? And the switch that went from, listen, we've forgiven them, yada yada yada, to he's a thug, right? So, and he's getting what he deserves, and now he's platforming and he's soapboxing, and we just had to wait it out, and then he showed us exactly who he was.
So wait a minute. So I'm reading this off of Wikipedia. If this is true, during the argument that ensued, Anthony allegedly said, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand to the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
According to witnesses, maybe these witnesses will be called into court again or for the first time. Metcalf, we're talking, I guess not, Austin Metcalf said You don't have anything in that backpack. It's Frisco before allegedly grabbing Anthony to move him. One
Yeah.
witness quoted Metcalf as telling Anthony, "I'm not going to fight you at the track meet." All right. So I don't know who grabbed who first.
Well, from the majority of the accounts that I read, outside of what I read from what was supposed to have been testimony that was very fickle, Austin was the instigator. And when I say instigator, he was the first to have physical contact with Karmelo between the two.
Now wait a minute. So if Tyrone and Jalen had walked up to Bobby Joe,
Biff.
I don't. Lynn, I have a friend I grew up with named Biff. I won't say that. So Bobby Joe, I won't say Biff.
Okay.
So
Come on, McFly.
if they had walked up to Biff, and Biff was just trying to shelter from the rain, and put their hands on Biff, and Biff said, "Hey man, I know you're black, I know you're tough and all, but you know what? I'm gonna stand my ground. Don't put your hands on me." And then Biff stabs Jalen, Tyrone, DeAndre, and pick a name. Stabs him. Biff is not going to jail. In fact, Biff's going to be celebrated.
Well, you know what? There's a case in Texas where Biff did go to jail.
Ooh, okay, go ahead.
I'll have to find the details, but there is.
Okay.
Because I always look up stuff like that because people say if the situation were reversed, but then there's never a reverse situation. And so that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing that makes the group look lazy.
But wait,
Because that's not the take to have. Now, let me ask you this, Richard. Did Karmelo Anthony have the opportunity to flee the situation? I'm going to say yes.
okay.
I'm going to say yes. I wasn't there. I didn't witness it. But I'm going to say yes. And when you have the opportunity to flee the situation,
Right.
sometimes that's what you need to do.
The point I'm going to go back to, of all the southern states, I've always said this.
Don't call Texas a southern state.
Texas was part of the Confederacy. So
Southwest.
No, it was part of the Confederacy. It was one
Now,
of the
go ahead.
15
Tell them again, Jay Glass.
It's the Southwest.
No,
Southwest
it was
Airlines,
part-
baby. Southwest.
I don't
Not
have,
Southern Airlines.
I don't have,
Southwest Airlines, baby.
don't
You know
have
why?
the
You know why they named it Southwest Airlines, Richard? Because they was in the Southwest. They said, "Where are we?
So Lynn.
Oh, we're in the
Lynn,
Southwest. Let's call this
Lynn,
Southwest Airlines."
Lynn, I know you're from Philly, and I can't question you on Pennsylvania. But when it comes to Missouri and Texas history, the only reason why you have Texas is because a white man named Austin, Mr. Austin, and his family moved to Texas with their slaves. And they eventually fought Mexico so they could keep their slaves. And then eventually, America fought Mexico for all the Southwest. But that was before the Civil War. The Civil War has 13 stars.
I know the
Missouri-
history, Richard.
Missouri-
All I'm saying.
Missouri and Kentucky was the 12th and 13 stars because they were not officially part of the Confederacy.
Right.
Texas, with its slaves, that's why we have that Juneteenth, they were part of the Confederacy. I can't get loud tonight. My voice is just shut.
No, sir.
So they were
No,
part
sir.
of it. They were.
No, sir. Confederate flags don't fly here, my brother.
Lynn,
They don't flap in the breeze here.
Lynn, you're in Harris County. I respect that. I'm trying to tell you, Texas was one of the stars of the Confederacy. Now, and that's why I said racism and prejudice in Texas is totally different. It's very unique versus the other southern states. It's very unique. And I always give the Texas white man his just due. Because if he really likes you and he thinks something's been done wrong against you, he'll go and fight for you. That's not happening in Mississippi or Alabama or Louisiana. That's never happening. Maybe North Carolina, maybe, maybe, maybe Virginia. But in Texas, that particular white man is very unique. I stopped there. Carmelo Anthony does have a possibility of beating this. A possibility. Once all the witnesses come, if they're subpoenaed, and if they're allowed to give their testimony over what they saw inside that tent. I saw stuff off of Facebook, but how reliable is Facebook? I don't know.
But I think in order for him to get off, it has to be proven that he was in fear for his life. And that's not the same thing as being in fear of getting an ass kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've all been in a situation or two in our lives when we've been in fear of an ass kicking. I know I have. And I walk around this earth 6'3". But back in the day, sometimes, situations arose. I think I told this story before, but I was reminded because I saw a movie recently where a similar thing happened. But we got beaten up at a party. Not we. My friends got beat up at a party. They came back to the neighborhood for reinforcements. So I was one of the reinforcements. So I get in the car, and I'm riding in that middle hump called riding bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm from, I don't know. Is that what they call it in the South state of Missouri? They call it ride. They call it. Okay. So I'm sitting there. I'm riding bitch. I'm ready. I'm ready. We going out there. We going to do something. And then a dude that I've never seen before in my life gets into the car with a gun. I gave him my seat. And guess what happened? They went out there. Somebody got shot and killed. The next day, you know what everybody was in that car said to me?
I should have got out.
But I was all kinds of P's and F's and B's when I got out the car. But it wasn't even let me think about this. Let me ride a couple blocks like Cuba Gooding Jr. did in Boys in the Hood. And you know what? When I saw that movie, here's me being hypocritical. I was mad. I was mad when Cuba got out the car initially. And then I said, wait a minute. Little guy popped up on my shoulder like, really? You mad at him? You have this in your resume. And then, but because I'm in the theater and I'm caught up on that vengeance ride, because I tell Stephanie this all the time. My favorite line from that movie is, turn your punk ass over. Whenever I'll say it before he says it. Whenever I see Ice Cube, that's the first line that pops in my head. Because I love that line. I love that he smoked the dude. But guess what? Had he lived to go to trial, he should have spent, the rest of his life in jail.
Fair point. Wig, you quiet. Jump in on this, man.
I don't know, brothers. It's a lot. It's a lot. The young man. He. I'm with Rich. I think he does deserve to be punished because he did what he did. But I'm on the other end. I'm on.
No, I said that. Rich said he deserves to get off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
if it had happened the other way, Biff would have got off. So
wait a minute. What I'm saying is, real quick, once we hear everybody's testimony, because I heard testimonies from people on Facebook allegedly that's saying that he didn't have a choice, that he wasn't feared for his life, and Austin was so big and so much bigger than him that he did.
Was he 300 pounds?
He was 210, I think.
Okay, because Jasmine Crockett had him 300 plus.
Don't let Stephen A. Smith hear anything about Crockett.
Go ahead, Mr. Wig.
That's another story for another time.
Go ahead, Mr. Wig. Go ahead.
Yeah, but only thing I'm saying is that I think the kid was 17, 18 years old, Carmelo. In retro, us being older, we know what battles to pick.
Yeah.
At that age there, everything is a battle. Anybody that tries to test your little manhood, you want to prove that you're a man. So I can't say I blame him for not walking away. And I would also say, why is it that we have to teach our kids to be the one to walk away? We always have to be as we tell our kids, we tell our kids not how not to get in trouble. They tell their kids not to get in trouble.
Hmm.
Because as if their kids have an option. We have to teach ours how not to get in trouble.
Yeah.
We do because we want our kids to survive.
No, exactly. So that's gonna go back to what Glass said about the dad when the dad finally showed his colors. So nobody can tell me this Austin going under that tent and them saying something to him, that was by mistake. Because it's taught
Okay.
at home. It's
You
taught
told
at home. I'm better than you. You're better than them. They have to do what you say do. That's the mentality. So Watermelon Felon wasn't a far stretch for his dad.
Oh no, that wasn't a stretch at all. That was right in his
So
wheelhouse.
I was
He was
like,
waiting. He waited. I bet you he waited weeks to drop that.
oh, he crafted it.
Yeah, he waited. He waited on it. He came and crafted it and then said, I can't, I'm gonna drop it right here. As soon as it's over, I'm gonna drop it. I know
so I ain't
exactly what I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm
he
So
gonna
I
say it.
so I ain't saying he should get off. You know what I'm saying? If there is some type of a punishment, I don't think that that was very extreme.
Yeah.
So it is, we all are held. We are, some of us have to learn our issues, learn rights and wrongs at a younger age when some mistakes you can't come back from. We
I
all
think
we all we all know that. You know what I'm
I think
saying?
single digit years,
But
I would be
you
okay with
know,
that.
but when I you don't like to put race in things. Now I always tell people what Glass said some one time, and he said we look at America through a tinted lens because we have to, because we're never going to get a fair shake.
No, because it's there. It's there. It's always there. Like
Right,
oxygen.
right.
Race is always there. Now whether it puts a thumb on the scale, you know, that's the part that differs. But it's always there. Just like what's always there? Sex is always there. But for some reason, we have an easier time dealing with sex. But sex is always there.
Yeah.
So
You know what's funny about this? So Austin ran in the tent with his brother and said, "Hey, you got to get out of here." Even though Carmelo Anthony was invited by another student to come into the tent so he wouldn't get rained on, and that's the Christian thing to do. You don't want to see nobody get rained on. Come on over here. We don't care if you're on the opposing side. That's what God-fearing people do. Austin, by his actions, along with his brother Hunter, they said, "We don't care about you getting rained on." But now, what if Carmelo had been with Jalen, Javante, and Tyrone? Think they would have ran up on him talking that stuff then? No, they wouldn't have.
No.
They would have thought twice. So when you thought you had to jump on somebody to bully somebody, a smaller kid than you, I think he played linebacker if I'm correct. So
Hey, Jay Glass, can we get the physical stats on Mr. Austin?
Sure.
okay,
Because I just,
okay.
because to some not out of Richard's mouth, but out of some people's mouths, this dude sounds like Goliath, David and Goliath under a tent.
Okay. Metcalf, physical. You said you want to know his
Yeah, I want his height and weight.
This is the quick AI overview of what I got Austin Metcalf at. It says Austin Metcalf's size. Austin Metcalf, 2026 high school senior from Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas, is listed at 6 foot, 200 pounds, according to Max Preps. This build is typical for high school football linebacker and defensive player, offering a balance of height for coverage and weight, so on and so forth.
And it also says somewhere else, the physical difference between Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf was 50 to 60 pounds heavier than poor Carmelo Anthony. 50 to 60 pounds heavier. And that's in high school.
Mhm.
Now, look, when I was in high school, I think I graduated like around, my weight fluctuated between, 160.
You got the wrong Carmelo Anthony.
I knew it was going to be that.
Yeah.
6'7".
Between 165 and 180. Okay. So I was, I was slender when I played basketball, more slender in the summer,
come
but
on.
I could get up to 180 pounds. All right. This boy is at 6 foot 200. He's solid. He ain't 225, 240, and that's big. But, 6 foot, 200 pounds, and he's way bigger than little Carmelo Anthony. Yes, Carmelo Anthony was afraid for his life. And I guarantee you, when they had that retrial and they put him on the stand, he'll say, yes, I feared for my life. I didn't know what this big man was going to do to me.
You want Anthony on the stand?
I think you have to put him on there.
All right, so they're going to ask him what he said about that backpack?
The backpack? What do you mean the backpack?
Like he gestured like he had something in the backpack?
He could take the fifth.
No,
you can't. No, you can't.
On the stand. No,
No, you can't.
So if you're on the stand
I
and
can't.
he felt that his life, go ahead, Mr. Wig,
No, I was just asking why can't he take the fifth?
because he's on the stand.
No, you can. That's where you take the fifth.
That's where you take it.
Ask Tony Fauci. But if you take the fifth, what are you saying? If I'm a juror and you're getting asked about what you said when you dug your hand into your backpack, and then you say, I'm going to take the Fifth Amendment because I don't want to incriminate myself.
Right.
I'm a juror. Guess what you've just done to me?
Right. You influence the jury to go against you. So, but the thing about it is, this young man, from the evidence that I heard, he was in fear for his life. And we already can see, even though I'm not allowed to say this, about the daddy's behavior, transcends into his children. But anybody who acts like Jeff Metcalf, then I'm going to question how those children are being raised. Now the wife, the ex-wife, she's not saying much. She could clear up a lot of this, because it does appear to me that Austin felt like he could bully anybody he wanted. And then this time he got challenged. But he didn't get challenged. Somebody responded to his bulliness. So I do feel that could he have run out and saved his life in that rain? No, because it's raining. He would have fallen, busted his head.
Stop.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
He could have ran.
Okay, so he would have ran in the rain and not being able to run very fast, and Austin would have had to jump on him because he's already standing over him. So how could he have run? Because when he walked on in the tent, he was standing over Carmelo, and that's why Carmelo felt like his life was threatened, and he wanted to stand his ground per Texas law. So he had a little small pocket knife that wasn't illegal. So he stood his ground, and he could not run because Austin Metcalf was so big and so intimidating and standing over him. And he had his brother, Austin. He has brother Hunter. Hunter was right by his side. So Carmelo was trapped. There was no way out for poor Carmelo.
Well, I see what you did there. And I'm not saying that I totally disagree with you, but I also can't say that I agree with you, because it could paint a picture like if Lynn and I rode up on a guy that's 5'6", 5'7", right?
It's over.
And yeah, we're towering over him. That poor fella will automatically feel defeated, deflated, and be like, hey, wait a minute, like you got me cornered. So I definitely understand your.
And it's raining. You couldn't run. Run.
That's not that. It's possible that he would have fallen on the metal bleachers.
So somebody's standing over you while you're sitting down in the bleachers underneath the tent, and they're standing over you, and you think they're going to let you get up and run because
No,
he
no, no.
said,
Listen, I'm not totally disagreeing with you. I'm not. And if his defense begins to take that type of a stance towards it and say, listen, he was in a situation to where he couldn't do anything. He was just cornered by these two Goliaths, and if he tried to get up and move, they were going to stop him and force him back down. And it was just a menacing, threatening situation. I get that. I
but
get
wait a
that.
minute, hold on a second. And by the way, Austin Metcalf, you didn't give out a lawful order. Who told you that you could go order somebody away from the tent? Nobody
Sure.
told you that.
Right. And
You did that to be you did that to be a bully, to harass, to scare,
That's what bullies
to
do.
threaten,
Yeah.
that's what bullies
to
do.
scare someone's life,
And I'm
to
I'm
put
not
somebody's life in fear. Because I can guarantee you this: if I had to walk up to a young white man, if I'm 17 years old and I walk up to a white boy, he's about 140, and I say, "Hey man, get on up out of here." And he says, "Man, just leave me alone, man. Or I'll do something." Man, you ain't gonna do shit. And he stabbed me in my chest. Guess what Mr. Glass is doing? With him and his two sisters and his lovely mama and the family, they come into the funeral like, well, we know Rich had a problem with his temper. We wish he had just, we
I
wish
don't
he,
know if
we
it'll
wish
go
he had
down
just,
like that.
held his temper and behaved accordingly. But we're gonna sing this hymn and put it in God's hands. That's
Listen,
what would have happened.
I've
Because the white boy ain't getting arrested. I can tell you
I've
that.
had a lot of people that let the smooth taste fool them,
See,
and
that's
they
not.
found
Stop.
themselves.
Stop.
Huh?
I'm gonna find this case. I'm gonna
Go
find this
ahead,
case.
go ahead, go ahead.
I've had a
But
lot of
listen,
people.
hey, but
I'm
Lynn,
tired of
while you Lynn, while you look for the case, my thing is this: there
Yes.
are outliers. When OJ got off, that was an outlier. 9 times out of 10, any other black man would have been convicted and possibly given the death penalty if it wasn't in California. So when people find outlier
Well,
cases,
the 2 reasons why he got off. He got off for 2 reasons: Johnny Cochran and Simi
And look,
Valley.
okay,
Yeah.
but that's an
That
outlier.
jury, if you can
Right.
round those people up today, they will tell you
Right.
this was our revenge for Rodney King.
But again,
So OJ
I'm not
just got
arguing-
lucky.
no,
And
I'm
he
not arguing.
had one of the best attorneys in the country defending him.
I'm not arguing that. All I'm simply saying is
An outlier,
when people,
like you said.
right. So when people I remember I had a boss once. He said, "Well, you made it out of the ghetto. Why can't all the other black people make it out?" And I looked at him. I said, "Because I made it out of the war zone, you expect all these other people to make it out? You're stupid. You're stupid. That's an outlier. That's like when Jay-Z made it out of Marcy Projects. Them other 9 ain't making it out. That's a guarantee. Okay? That's a guarantee. So don't give me outlier to support your mindset, your opinion. Outliers don't carry. You don't bet on outliers when you bet in sports games. You just don't do that. You bet on the stats. What do the numbers tell us?
Well, I'm going to make sure we watch what happens with this. And when Lynn comes back, we can definitely hear him out. But I want us to make sure we watch what happens with this case, because this young man, and I don't entirely disagree with Lynn when he says that there has to be some form of punishment because there was a loss of life. I don't entirely disagree with him on that. But I'll be interested to see what the defense begins to move for at this point. It might end up being time served, right? It might end up being just throw it all out. We'll see what happens. But I think it's interesting that he was able to get a retrial in the first place. There were more outlets and people saying that he'd never get a retrial than what there were people saying that he would. And I'm happy that he did.
Does he have a black lawyer now? Karmelo Anthony?
I'd have to go back and check that out. I'm not exactly sure who's representing him right now. But I'm glad you said that, because that's something that
I think he does. Here, I'll look it up. I'll look to see his new Carmelo Anthony's new legal team, and I'm gonna see what they say.
Oh man, where'd that article? So I have another article that I need to. What did I do? Oh man, give me 1 second. There's another article that I want to jump into, uh, and it is. I got you, Lynn. It is going to be an update for the Nolan Wells case, and I think it's high time that there's something that has been said from anybody in Mississippi. Lynn, were you able to find that case? Oh man, I don't know if his audio is working.
No, I'm gonna have to do some more digging. No, it's
Okay.
not working. You can't hear me?
Yep, I got you. We got you. That was me jumping the gun. Man,
No. But what I did uncover is that when it is reversed, 11% of the time the white shooter is justified, while
Okay.
on the black side it's 1%.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But in either case, most times it's not justified.
Yeah. There it is. Okay. I don't know how I did that, but
So his new lawyer is a black man, Russell Wilson II. Now, remember when I was talking stuff about black attorneys, this black attorney began his legal career in Dallas after he graduated with honors from Oklahoma College of Law, formed his own practice. So he's super smart. Okay, so he has one new attorney who's black. Let me see if the other new attorney, who's Brooke Claus, who's part of the Benjamin Crump law firm. I want to see. This sounds like a woman. So he has a black attorney. So this is interesting. That black attorney was able to get a new judge. But he was a former prosecutor, I think, in Dallas. She's. Oh yes.
oh Lord.
Yes. Brooke Claus. Oh yes.
Oh
I won't
Lord.
tell you. Hey, Lynn. I'll keep you safe. I won't tell you to go look at it.
Oh Lord.
Have you seen her? You seen a picture of her?
No, I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look. I want to stay safe too.
Call Prentice.
Oh Lord.
No,
Oh, goodness.
she is stunner. And I mean, hold on. I gotta take a picture of this. Good God Almighty.
Okay, so before we go into that, let me
take a picture of this boy.
let me jump in here.
I want y'all to
And,
know, hey,
I
don't get food.
So moving forward, I'm going to read an update from Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath, who released a statement Tuesday afternoon following public criticism, essentially, of how the state has been handling the case, or lack thereof, of Nolan Wells. Happy birthday, by the way. The young man would have turned 19 today. And instead of his mother being able to hold him or call him or make a cake, she has to deal with this. Right? And so, happy birthday to Nolan. And let me go ahead and read this actual letter that the DA, Jackson County DA, penned. She says, as district attorney, I do not have the same freedom to share information publicly that private individuals may have. For example, I do not have the freedom to release letters I've sent in this investigation, discuss witness cooperation, or the testing of evidence. I do not have the freedom to identify what information is verified and what information is false. I do not have the freedom to publicly adopt a narrative and choose one fact over another, nor do I control the information released by private individuals who are not part of the investigative team. I cannot control whether private individuals release letters they have sent to me, just as I cannot prevent them from releasing letters I've sent to them. I cannot control which facts or bits of information are shared or whether that information is being shared in context, twisted, or misconstrued. Public commentary does not make the speaker transparent, just like exercising restraint consistent. Just like exercising restraint consistent with the law does not make the process corrupt. The fact that something is said does not necessarily mean it's actually true. Prosecutors are held to the highest ethical standard under the law, unless you're Blanche. But let me read that again. Prosecutors are held to the highest ethical standard under the law, as we should be. The people we serve deserve no less. I understand that a void is perceived when some are speaking publicly about a matter while others do not. I would be stepping outside the bounds of the law if I were to fill that void and share information publicly. With all the public pressure being placed on my office, filling the void would only serve to get pressure off of me. Nolan deserves better. There is no pressure that can be placed on me and no force that is greater than the weight of the oath I took and my responsibility to the people I serve. My obligation and commitment is to present the grand jury with all the evidence collected in this case in order for them to reach a decision based on a thorough investigation, complete evidence presentation and actual truth, and an understanding of the law. I am obligated to do so in keeping with the law and the rules of the court. My cat scared the hell out of me. On July 23rd, 2020, I released a recorded statement explaining the process and what the people of the Jackson County should expect in this matter. There is nothing more to be shared at this time. I caution the public about assigning trustworthiness to things they read and see online. I also ask that rather than those individuals demanding that I step outside the bounds of the law and make public statements, we all step back, allow the process to work, and allow us to do the job we were elected to do. I stand firmly on the rule of law and my ethical obligations. That is what the people of Jackson County elected me to do. I will present the grand jury with a thorough, complete, and fair investigation into the death of Nolan Wells. Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath. That is the letter, again, that was penned by said AG in this actual situation. Polar, what question you got, man? Go ahead and type it. And so, you know, I don't know what's wrong with my daughter. I don't. She let my cat down here. Anyway, so where are we with that statement? And I'll start with Wig. I see Rich is ready. I see it on your face. I gotta let it ride for a split second. I gotta let it ride. Wig, where you at with that, man? Wig, you there? Did the chronic get you? Chronic might have got Wig. That's all right. Rich, what you got?
You know how I jumped on attorney Benjamin Crump about that press conference where he didn't really announce anything and he couldn't read the words right?
Yeah.
Now let me show you where I'm fair. She didn't tell us a damn thing.
No.
You could have saved this press release. Because when you say I do not have the freedom to release the letters sent to the investigation, discuss witness cooperation, or the testing of the evidence. Everybody knows that. The only thing we want to know is, have you sent out any letters at all? You can say, yes, we have sent letters to certain people regarding this investigation. That's all we need to know, that you sent something. Because right now, we don't know what you haven't sent. All we know is you're telling us you can't tell us about releasing letters. Nobody asked you to release no letters. Here's the other thing. Nor do I control the information released by private individuals who are not part of the investigative team. What does that really mean? Because information, if you were really doing investigations, you would tell those three innocent white boys, you're not sitting down with Brandon Tatum. So obviously you ain't investigating them. That's obvious. Because if they were under investigation, if you had called and sent them a letter or said anything to them, you'd say, no, you can't sit down with no one to discuss the mysterious disappearance of Nolan Xavier Wells until we complete our investigation. And that won't be completed until the grand jury's completed. They're sitting their ass down and talking whenever they want. This was a waste of time. This is just in response to that that black attorney down there who took over the Christine and Elmore Wansley's case for Nolan Xavier Wells. Yeah, that brother, that's just in response to him. This letter doesn't tell us anything. So if he wasn't going to tell us anything, why even put out the letter? You could have did a press conference and say, hey, look, everything's under investigation. We can't say anything. We have to follow the rules and procedures of the state of Mississippi. Thank you very much. And then done. This is garbage. I'll stop there.
Lynn, where are you at with that? I think Lynn might have
Froze up. Let me read some more of this.
Yeah,
I released a recorded statement explaining the process. Well, if you released a recorded statement, then why do you need to put this out for? This is just garbage. This is just a saving face. That's all this is. This is nothing.
So I can meet you there. That it's a load of malarkey. But what I will also say is that it's something, right? It's not what the people are looking for. And yep, she said everything that people already know. She said everything that people already know, and she didn't really help anything or anyone out. We understand that she can't give pertinent information to the case. But if she would have at least continued a consistent cadence of saying exactly what listen, I can't talk about the details of an open investigation. What I can tell you, however, is that we are investigating everything we possibly can to make sure that everything is on an up and up. And that's what the people needed to hear.
When she said, I cannot release letters or talk about, I do not have the same freedom to share information publicly that private individuals may have. Okay, we understand that.
Yeah.
I do not have the freedom to release the letters that I have sent in this investigation, discuss witness cooperation, or the testing of evidence. That raises a flag with me. Because if you're really talking to witnesses, then those three innocent white boys would have to be the first three you talk to, or three or four, take your pick. If they're sitting down talking to Officer Brandon Tatum, you ain't investigating them. Because if they were under investigation, if you were talking to them, you'd say, hey, you cannot sit down in the public and talk about this and create more hoopla, because I can't talk about the case at all. So I can't have you talking about it and adding to the hoopla about what people believe and what they don't believe. She would have silenced them.
Or one of two other possibilities. Either what they've seen so far leads them to believe that it was drowning, or what they have so far leads them to believe that the young men who are talking to Race Batum Tatum and everybody else aren't the actual culprits.
No, I disagree. Because allegedly they were the last ones. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Where you at? What you got, Lee?
Listen. Another culprit is on my list of possibilities.
Yeah.
But Richard, you can't silence those boys if they're not drawn into the case.
Wait a minute.
They have to be once they're legally drawn into the case. You can silence them.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. And this is where a lot of black folks say ain't no investigation going on. Allegedly, you 3 white boys or 4 white boys were the last to see him alive because y'all left him. He said, "I'm staying on the I-80." Y'all were the last to see him alive, and you guys are standing by that story. When she's doing the investigation to see, it was a mysterious drowning, she should have told anybody who saw him that day, keep your mouth shut. We're doing an investigation because we have to either rule it a mysterious death by drowning or mysterious death by foul play. But regardless of however we rule this, keep your mouth shut. Because by you going on social media and running your mouth to act like you're innocent, and I haven't even charged you anything, that tells me that they're not even under investigation. That tells me that her investigation is tunnel vision, because everybody that was out there on that island that day, including their cell phones, everybody should be under investigation. Because I can guarantee. Okay, I'll stop there. Go ahead.
Where you at with it, Lynn?
Did he freeze?
Oh man. So I hear what you're saying. I'm bringing into this is, first, if they aren't the ones under investigation, she can't silence them, and that's kind of what she was telling us in the letter, right? But also, them having private lawyers, it would be up to the private lawyer to tell their clients to be quiet a little bit instead of going out on this public court of opinion type of campaign to get pressure off of them and move it to the mom. So maybe it's not them that fall under the investigation. Maybe they are telling the truth, and the last time they saw him was when he said he was going to go talk to another mutual friend or Katie. Maybe in his return back to the boat, he detoured to another friend's boat and he didn't make it back with them. All I'm saying is that there are other possibilities.
It wouldn't matter, because if that was the case, that somebody else may have participated in foul play against Nolan Wells, those 3 boys are still being called to the witness stand in a trial, in a criminal trial.
Yeah.
And in a civil trial. So
that doesn't absolve them of being there, right? It doesn't absolve them at all of being there. It doesn't absolve them of going out there with him or anything of that nature. All I'm saying is, and they would still have an obligation, and they could still be subpoenaed, so on and so forth. All I'm saying is, it's the letter to me doesn't mean, and I do agree that she didn't tell us there was nothing in there that was really worth salt as far as giving us some insight into which way this case is going, right? But it does hopefully begin to establish a bit of a cadence to say.
No, it doesn't. It does not provide any hope at all.
Because she might not say anything else within the next.
Let me tell you something.
Several months. She might not.
Remember when Attorney Crump came out from the first meeting with her, talking about we just had a meeting? Remember that?
Yeah.
She showed her hand when she didn't come out with him together.
I don't disagree with you on that.
And that's all I got to say. She's garbage. And if she could have came out and then when he was saying the things that he was saying in front of her, if he would have said something wrong, she could have said, no, we didn't agree to no going through this phone jointly. She could have corrected him. That's why she didn't want to go outside with him. But he went outside by himself with Christine and Elmore and the other attorneys and gave a press conference. But you didn't demand that she came outside to sit right there and to verify what you're saying. You lost. So, okay. So that's my opinion.
Sure. And I listen, does she pass the sniff test? Absolutely not. She doesn't. She doesn't pass the sniff test. Right. And so that's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying that she can be trusted at her word. There's already former judges who are saying she can't be trusted because they've been in front of her. Right. So if I have to weigh the two in the balance, well, I'm not going to just directly take her word. I'm going to take the former judge's word who had to present information and she purposely suppressed stuff. If I'm summing that up properly. Right. So I don't directly care for her, but I'm also careful not to move what's going on, Oscar, move directly over to a point of foul play on their side.
I am.
Yes, that's fine. But I'm just saying we don't have all the evidence that points directly.
And here's the problem: they have no intention of ever showing any evidence at all, except for the evidence they manufacture. That's the problem.
And that's possible, right?
Yeah,
We were saying not too long ago that a lawyer's job is to suppress the truth.
If they were doing a real investigation, they would have subpoenaed that phone. And they're not doing no real investigation.
But how can they subpoena the phone if there's nobody that's being held liable for anything?
That tells you there's no investigation. Their minds are already made up. That's what that tells you.
I don't think that's what that says. It might.
It does.
To me, what that says is they might not be at that part in the process just yet.
No, ain't no process.
And what I also say is I think the lawyers for the Wells Honsley family are doing the right thing by not playing along with them and just giving the phone up.
No, listen, they can say they don't want to give the phone along. If you get subpoenaed for that phone and they're law enforcement, you're giving up that phone.
That's a different thing.
This is a joke. This is a joke. If they were doing a real investigation, they would have sent the subpoena to give up the damn phone, and we ain't gonna go through the phone with you together.
But how?
Sent the subpoena.
For
and
what?
Saying we want to investigate the phone. It isn't. They're law enforcement. They can go to for probable cause or for whatever reason, they can go to the judge and get the affidavit to get the subpoena if need be. But they're law enforcement. They can get the subpoena to get that phone, but they have no intention of getting that phone because their minds are already made up.
I want to make sure I'm not hearing what you're not saying, okay. Right? Because you're not saying that they could arbitrarily have a document go in front of a judge and make up information or make up some type of excuse to subpoena a phone. When
they go to any judge and say, we're trying to find out what happened to this man, and we need to go through his phone to ascertain when he last had his phone, and the judge would sign off on it, and they would get a subpoena. It'd be just that quick. And that's really a search warrant, really, going through the judge for a search warrant to get the phone. But doing a subpoena to get the phone is something different.
I'm trying to follow.
And that's why a lot of people are saying there is no investigation being done, because you would have gone to that phone, you would have questioned everybody on that island, and if you're questioning everybody on that island, they're not doing interviews on social media with Brandon Tatum. I
don't think they want to go through the phone.
This is why I took the bet. There ain't gonna be no indictment. That's why I put that bet.
We said that before. But okay. I don't think they want to go through the phone right now, because if they begin to go through the phone, well, then it has to be evidence presented in some form of a trial.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
If it's admissible, if I'm A.R. Smith and I've got information on that phone,
no.
And I've got information on that phone that could point to somebody who may have done something. Oh, I'm making sure that phone is going to be present. regardless of if they wanted to be or not. I'm
They
pushing
can
that
take,
information.
push all that you want. If they subpoena that phone, they get the phone themselves. They don't
No,
want the.
we're kind of saying the same thing. What I'm saying is, if the phone is the smoking gun, there's a
No, no,
reason
it
why
is,
they're
no. The phone does not have to be the smoking gun, but it's part of that man's property. That when he disappeared, somehow his phone didn't disappear with him. So you go search that phone because that may lead you to evidence. It's reasonable. It's reasonable cause. This is easy. This is really a simple situation.
clearly is not, because if
No,
if it
clearly they don't. They.
was
Uh,
I'm saying the reason why I'm saying that, because if it was an easy situation, that I think there would be more push.
no,
Uh,
you don't push when you're doing a
from
cover up. You don't
not
push when
no,
you're
I'm
doing a
not
cover up.
talking about from them. I'm not
Right.
talking about from them, right?
Right.
I'm not too far off that same path with you when it's all said and done. What I'm
Right.
talking about is from the lawyer representing the the Wells Honsley family, right?
The
Um,
Wells
there-
Wansley.
the Wells Honsley family. There'd be some form of push. Now he
They
did get out in
have.
front.
They
He got
have.
out in front and he said we're willing to do a joint.
He already said that.
Yeah,
He,
that's what I'm
listen,
saying. And they came back and said it again. And so if the AG and her team aren't jumping and latching onto that, that does
the
give a
DA,
bad taste to
the
people.
DA has no desire. They don't want to search the phone. This is why so many black people across this country are mad about this. They're not doing no real investigation. They're not. Period. And when they send all the information to the grand jury, we'll never know what it is. When the grand
Right.
jury says not enough evidence, well, we don't even know what the charge is when it goes to the grand jury. We don't even know if they're trying to indict somebody for a criminal action, or they're just sending the information to the grand jury to say, "Hey, this is an accidental drowning. Here's the information." You don't
And
know anything, and that's
that
how they're going to keep it. And that's why
that's
this is.
part of, yeah, and that's a part of the problem is what we could know. What we could know is I wish we had the ability to have trust in our FBI and DOJ bodies right now.
Fair enough.
I wish we could.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
wish we
Because
could. Because again,
they,
we are dealing with Mississippi.
well,
And
hold on, wait a minute. And you may get more from Mississippi than you get from Donald Trump.
exactly. And that's from Cash Patel and then from Blanche, right? Blanche is the king of cover up for the Epstein class, and Patel is the king of drinking with hockey teams. So we're not going to get any real
Anything.
information. Yeah, and that's part of the problem, and I hate it because we're
You know
45
what you
plus days into this thing.
look, and that's why I said they're never going to ask for the phone. But the person that could break this case wide open is Katie. See, that's why she won't sit down with Brandon Tatum. That's why she won't sit down with anybody. She's the one that brought the case completely open. I said that from the very beginning. Yeah, she said, I watched him leave me and get back on the boat with them. That was her last time she saw him. She said, he walked away from me to get back on the boat with them. That's what she said. Through her sister, Gracie McCormick, which, as Benjamin Crump said, directly contradicts what the boys are saying. So you have two opposing statements. And you mean to tell me you're not pulling those people aside and telling them you can't talk to nobody on social media until this whole thing is settled? That's bullshit. That is, man. But
Yeah, the AI overview just briefly says her family cooperated with investigators, and she has
okay,
not been accused of wrongdoing. However, conflicting
right,
accounts, and we know about the conflict, but
right,
yeah,
right. But see, I want to see her sit down. See, here's the funny thing. AI is quick to tell you that she has cooperated with the investigators, but them three boys ain't saying that. See,
yeah, that's right.
they didn't say on the Brandon Tatum interview that they were cooperating with investigators, because if they were, they'd keep their mouth shut. They'd be warned, you can't talk to nobody. See, this is what is driving people.
It is, and there's only so much I can I can give to anything that Tatum does. After watching a lot of his information here recently, he's a piece of shit. Let me just throw that out there.
And I don't care. Look, I don't.
I don't know how their interviews were edited, right, before they were presented.
Okay.
Right. And because I know there are certain tools and editing functions that I have in this software that I can make it seem like we're saying almost any and everything. Right.
Well,
But he's a son of a bitch that you just can't trust because he's hard up and caught up on being against anybody that looks like him. And he doesn't have any facts behind the shit he's saying. Most of the stuff that he's talking about is nothing more or nothing less than an I believe. It's not that he's read a ton of information. It's all anecdotal. Well, I used to be a cop. So what, motherfucker? Some men used to be women at this point in life. So I don't care about your anecdotal experiences. Every time somebody brings him statistical information, the only thing he responds with, well, I don't accept that. I don't believe it. So what? You don't have to. The ignorant will never accept facts. I take that back. It's not that the ignorant won't accept facts. Dumb people won't accept facts. And that's what he is.
Well, listen, he doesn't bother me. I've seen him go on shows. I think he even talked to Stephen A. Smith. So he doesn't, Brandon Tatum doesn't bother me. He really, I know black men like him.
Yeah, it's not that he bothers me so much. It's just that he is always he'll always be that one for them. He'll always be that one. Well, look at what, because they used to do the same thing with Candace Owens. People used to do the same thing with Candace. Well, what about Candace Owens? Mother, I don't care about your whataboutisms, right? Because it goes back to.
Hold on, Candace is different than him, so I support Candace. Yeah, I support her.
Yeah, we live this time. Why?
Yeah, I support Candace Owens.
I won't, and I don't.
I do, because I see sincerity in her. I don't see none in Brandon, because when Candace had to go against President Trump when he was doing wrong, she went against him. So she ain't bought and paid for. She has a mind of her own.
Who is she married to?
A millionaire.
She doesn't have to be bought anymore. She's already paying for it.
Well, okay. Well, that's your opinion. That's fine. But when people always tell me that when certain black people don't say everything I want them to say, because I know I'm one of them black people who I don't always say what other black people want me to say. It depends on the issue. And I've watched her, and I believe in Candace Owens. Now, I don't believe everything. I know where Brandon Tatum is trying to come from, but my catch is, who paid you to go down to Mississippi? And who did you talk to before you talked to those boys? And what did y'all agree to? That's all I need you to answer me. I don't need to know anything more about you or where you come from or what you've done. I want to know who paid for your trip. How much are they paying you? Where'd the money come from? And what did you promise them? And if you can answer that truthfully to me, I'm good. Because I know when people pay people money, people will do. I know black folks who claim they love us, but when the Democratic Party comes and says, "Hey, this is what you're going to do," roll right over and do it.
You saying Hakeem Jeffries? Jeffries. I said Hakeem Jeffries.
No, hold on. I wasn't going after him. Not on this. I'm not.
Yeah.
Not on this. But the Democratic Party tries to control black people, but the Republican Party does the same thing. So at the end of the day, nobody controls me. I don't belong to no political party. So, and I'll save the next subject for next week.
Yeah, because we coming back with that.
Yeah,
we're coming back with that.
We can close down. I'm out. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I got class in the morning.
Sounds good.
Yep. As always, we appreciate you all for being with us and hanging out. And you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you hung out with me and Rich and Lynn and we appreciate y'all for that. Thank you for your support. God bless and good night.